Well, hi there, folks. Stephen Carlton here in the studio. Look, this is where we make all of our content that we post on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. This is where we minister the gospel across Canada and across the Canadian Arctic. Just want to bring you an encouraging word. During this whole COVID season, I found myself thinking about the life of Jesus. Obviously we've got lots of time to be praying and really just believing God for big things in our nation, but you find yourself in Luke chapter 22, and in Luke chapter 22, in verses, 40 on to about 46, it's a story of Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane with his disciples. And these are moments before Jesus is taken into captivity by the Romans, and then later, crucified on the cross. And arguably, some of the most intense, important moments in Jesus' life were found right here in this garden. And in verse 40, Jesus said to his disciples, there he told them, pray that you will not give into temptation. He knelt away about a stone's throw, he walked away about a stone's throw, knelt down and prayed. Father, if you are willing, please take this cup of suffering from me, yet I want your will to be done, not mine. In verse 45, he stood up again and returned to his disciples only to find them asleep, exhausted from grief. Jesus said, why are you sleeping? He asked them. Get up and pray so that you will not give in to temptation. So, what a wild story here. Jesus has been walking with these disciples for the last 3 years. They're his pupils. Jesus is their teacher. Again, they've done incredible things together. And in this moment, Jesus, you read in a couple of the other Gospels that what Jesus says to them is multiple times is like, look, just pray with me, stay with me. And then he even brought, a few of his closest disciples away from the others and said, look, stay with me, pray with me here. It's a picture, folks, of, I think, us. It's a picture of, number one, the faithfulness of Jesus. But number two, the unfaithfulness of us. And in Romans chapter 8, in verse 26, it says, in the same way, the Spirit helps us in our weakness. We don't know what we ought to pray, but the Spirit himself intercedes for us through wordless groans. And he who searches our hearts knows the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for God's people in accordance to the will of God. I think the picture here, the story here, the imagery is such that it lends itself to show us that as human beings, the disciples, right, as people, man, we're unfaithful. We're terrible friends. We might have moments where we're there with each other, we're there for each other. We have moments where we're walking in tandem with God and praying and reading our Bibles, doing everything that we should be doing as followers of Christ. But the reality is that Jesus is the ultimate picture of what it looks like to be faithful to God. He's the ultimate picture of what it is to be sinless, to be blameless, to be, the fullness of the Ten Commandments. And I think the gospel, number one, continually, the whole Bible shows us time and time and time again that we're not perfect, that we actually needed Jesus. And, Jesus, because of what he did, because of our accepting his free gift of salvation, we're now called the righteousness of Christ, the righteousness of God. My encouragement to you right now is, as human beings, we're imperfect. But Jesus empowers us because of what he did on that cross, because of what he did and throughout his life. We're empowered to do the same thing. In fact, in God's eyes, he sees us the same as Jesus, that we are the faithful ones, that we are the ones without sin, because we could never do it. Jesus did it through us. And my encouragement to you is, allow the faithfulness of Jesus' life to empower you to pray, to believe, to encourage you to say, I'm imperfect as a human, but Jesus empowers me to do things beyond what I'm capable of doing. Bless you guys. We're believing for you, believing God to do something amazing in your life, believing God to move in your family, in your workplace, wherever you might be, believing that God can transform our lives in such an amazing way. Bless you guys. We'll see you in the next video.